They say the sizzle sells the steak. But among Bitcoiners who are increasingly fed up with the effects of what a broken fiat monetary system has done to our nation's food, it's becoming more like the health and environmental benefits that sell the steak.
It's not a good picture for the food security of this country unless our country makes some serious changes.
Dr. Brooke Miller is a physician with a background in family medicine. He also happens to be a rancher and the president of the United States Cattlemen's Association, which gives him unique insight into the connection between government policy and the American diet.
We're going to have a real food crisis in this country. We'll be dependent upon 4 major multinational corporations to supply our food. Big food corporations can make huge profits on cheap crap food, and that gets back to the Dietary Guidelines, which is something that's sponsored by the government.
Dr. Miller is alluding to the corporate monopolization of our food supply that has resulted in a small amount of behemoth companies controlling most of what's in our grocery stores. And when it comes to meat, the picture is even more alarming. Just 4 companies control 85% of the nation's beef supply. His solution starts with reconnecting consumers with the producers of their food.
Most people think their food comes from the grocery store. It's got to be on the consumer, both in trying to buy as much direct and locally as you can, and if they want the healthiest beef on the planet and beef that is grown in a humane and regenerative way. When you buy directly from the farmer lives there, he lives with those animals, he lives on the land. He's not going to abuse his animals, he's not going to abuse the land.
Dr. Miller is not alone. You may have heard of Texas Slim, who has been making the rounds on a series of popular Bitcoin shows. As the founder of the Beef Initiative, he promotes access to high-quality beef and is trying to educate the public on taking greater care in where they source their food.
If you look at our cycle of agriculture in the United States of America, we've lost that food intelligence as us, the consumers. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring a new awareness of like where food used to come from, where it is now, how we got here.
And what that's leading to is a myriad of health issues, from obesity to diabetes, many of them linked to chemicals, preservatives, and cheaply produced alternatives to real animal fats. Texas Slim points out that some of our quote-unquote health food is actually making us sick. And he argues we need more food intelligence.
I always tell people about the cholesterol lie, the fat-free lie, the seed oil lie. And if you look at how we introduced fake commodities into our food system in the early 70s, whenever we lost the value of the dollar, went off the gold standard, well, you can look at our health as well. And you can do a correlation, and it's basically the same chart. Our failing health is the same as the failing dollar.
I got awakened on the food issue about 10-15 years ago. I improved my health massively by simply realizing, just because something is in a supermarket, it doesn't mean you have to eat it.
Dr. Saifuddin Ammous, who holds a PhD in sustainable development, says his health was transformed by switching to a meat-based so-called carnivore diet. He devotes an entire section of his book, The Fiat Standard, to explaining the effects of the fiat system on our physical health. He points out the 5 biggest issues in today's food, created through fiat corrupting the incentive system in food production. They are polyunsaturated and hydrogenated vegetable and seed oils, processed corn, soy, low-fat foods, and refined flours and sugars.
You can connect the dots and you can see how much money and effort and subsidies and government policies have gone into promoting those foods. So on the one hand, you have the dietary guidelines, basically telling people to eat all of the stuff that has low price elasticity, the stuff that involves a lot of industry. And so therefore, when there's inflation, that stuff's price doesn't rise. So corn, soy, sugar, flour, and I think perhaps the most pernicious is seed oils, which are absolutely devastating, and they've just been normalized as food.
Why does a carnivore diet work? Why does a low-carb diet work? Because it lowers your inflammation. And how does it do that? It lowers your dependence on insulin.
Studies show Americans exercise more than any other country and have more access to health care, yet we have rampant obesity and diabetes epidemics raging in the U.S., affecting the young and old alike. The result has been an explosion of medications to mitigate these and many other health conditions that were once rare. Some Bitcoiners argue big pharma profit margins are also benefiting from the corruption of our food.
canola oil and all of these things, they're industrial waste that they've managed to make slightly less poisonous so that they don't kill you straight away when you eat it. It kills you slowly and then allows you to generate a lot of profits for the medical industrial complex, which is another huge fiat issue.
Big food's there to cause the problem, big pharma's there to give you the cure.
But the real cure could very well be connected to our system of economic value and a reordering of incentives through fixing the money. As long as the Dr. Brooks and the Texas Slims of the world fight to raise awareness, some argue that sound money could lead us back to a sound diet.
And what we're going to do with food intelligence and with the beef initiative and with Bitcoiners that think differently is that we're basically going to start decentralizing an apparatus that is basically trying to kill us. So it's kind of intense. It takes a lot of effort to understand it, but if you can focus on one thing, that is food intelligence, then your life will change for the better.
We hope you enjoyed that report. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the Swan Bitcoin YouTube page so you don't miss out on any hard money content.